And 2 people from over here, otherwise I will pick. I'm going to pick, if we don't put your hands up. Okay, I'm going to pick 2 people. I am going to pick one of you. So, Taya, and I can't pick. One of you, please, have you got a phone? You don't have to answer things yourself. It's just a team captain. Okay, you come. No, can you just stop? Come, sorry, I don't know your name, sweetheart, so you need to come forward. No, that's not her name. Angel and Taya, you're okay to be a team captain? Thank you. I'm going to tell you, but I just need a captain. The whole point is that you're going to get into teams of 4. I've got a quiz, right? And, someone's got to win, so we need a team. But I needed captains, because the captains, you're going to have the answers on your phones. That's why I asked for you guys, okay? So that's all you've got to do. So I'm going to put you into teams. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1s are going to be here. Number 2's here. 3s and 4s at the back over there, okay? So number 1s are going to be here. So I'm going to count, okay? So number 1. Number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 1, number 2. Oh, you're not playing. Number 3. Oh, yeah, because they know the answers. Okay, wait. Okay, you were number 1. Sorry, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 1 is you, yeah? Number 2, hello. Hello, Kim. 2. 3, Auntie Jermaine. 4, Auntie Claudia. 1, Andrew. I can't see the 2 of you. Are you playing? I'm going to put you both in number 2. Okay? Auntie B, number 3. Number 4 is you. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. You don't have to move then. Number 4. Number 1. Number 2. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So number 1's all over here. Oh, I didn't put you. 4. Okay. So number 1's all on this side. Hold on a minute. Number 1's all over here. If you got a number 1, please move to here. If you got a number 2, please move to here. This was quite even, so please do it right, because I don't want to. 3, 4. So number 1's over here. Your team captain is Angel. Number 2's over here. Your team captain is Tana. Taya, sorry. Number 3's over here. If you're number 3, come here. Your team captain is Shaya. It's all right. You're going to go to number 1. So come over here. Yeah, and bring your sister. Number 4's are here. Rhea, you're a team captain. Number 4's. You put your hand up. Come on. All you got to do is use your phone. You should never... 4's are here. Quickly, everyone. And this is number 2. 4's are here. Number 4's. This is your team captain, number 4's. This is who will be writing down your answers. You need to stay standing here. Number 3's. This is your team captain. This is who is writing down your answers. Number 2's. This is your team captain, number 2. This is who's writing your answers. Where's Angel? Stand up. You're cheating. You're not all in the same group. Oh. Number 1's, this is your team captain. This is who's writing your answers. So those who are... Listen, why am I shouting? I'm shouting.
Stonebridge family come in right at the end. Could you give them a number? You say, welcome to my Stonebridge. Where are the glasses? Stonebridge family. They're right at the back. Yeah. 3. I'm just going to together.
Hello? Anyone who hasn't got a number yet? I'm going to pick you out. You haven't got numbers? You're going to join in? It's a quiz. 1, 2, 3. So you need to come to number 1's. If you want to go together, just go together. It's not the end of the world. Where Danielle is, number 1's. This is group 3. Right, are we ready? Sorry, guys. I feel like I'm shouting. Can you all hear me? Okay. I don't know. If you can hear me, it's fine. I don't need to shout, but I feel like I'm shouting. Okay. So this quiz is it's either guess the job or guess the person. So some of them, I'll be reading out. Sorry, guys. I'll be reading out some jobs, and you will need to guess who has the job. The other part of it is I might say the person's name, and you need to guess what their job is. Okay? So your people who are the captains, raise your hands. Who's the captain? Shania, why are you standing? You're not a captain. Sit. I only want to see the captain so I can because I don't want to get confused. You need to bring out your notes on your phone. Do you know how to get to notes? So you can write it down. You get 30 seconds for each question, okay? Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute, that's mean. Okay, number 1. Are you ready? I'll give you get a minute for each one. I'll be fair. Number 1, he is a prime minister. He is also a shepherd. And he is also a husband. I think that's a job, yes. And he is also, it's too easy. He's also a slave. Hold on. No, hold on. Yeah, that's all right. Ten more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, done. What was your answer? Okay. Okay. All right. Good. First answer. Well done. Okay, fine. All right. Next question. He was a bouncer, a building surveyor. Yeah, go on. I'll give you another one if you're really stuck. Yeah. I say bouncer. I mean, he had the same job like a bouncer, so you could call it a guardsman. Building surveyor. I might give some more. Think first. Okay, hold on. Okay, he was a prisoner. He was a captive. He was a captive as well. So I said he's a building surveyor. He was like a guardsman or a bouncer. And he was a captive. All right, you got 10 seconds. Captive. Like, he was okay, I'll give you one more clip, but this makes it so easy. He was also, someone's saying don't give any more clues. The whole point is that somebody has to lose. I'm sorry. All right, last clue. He was a cup bearer. Don't cheat on Go Google. And if I give you any more, it's too easy. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to look at your answers because apparently calling it out, apparently people will cheat.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Mm-hmm. I need to make this harder. I want somebody to lose. Hello, come on. No. Someone needs to keep score. No. No, it's not. All right, so the answer to that one was Nehemiah. Well done. It ain't Simeon. All right, next one. Ready? Next one. Danielle's telling me I ain't got time, so I'm going to have to... I had 10 of these, so I need to pick one. Hold on. Okay. This one's a bit... This is going to be so easy, but... All right. Ready? I am a woman. I run a brothel. I couldn't think of anything else to make it harder. All right, this one's too easy. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Answers. Hold on. What's the answer? Let me see. Yeah. I know everyone's got this one. I can't see it, but I know it's right. Doesn't matter. Yes. Quick. Yes. Well done. So we have Rahab. That one was way too easy, but I had to do something for the ladies. Okay. Next one. I am a woman, and I am a seamstress. Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Captains, hold your phones up. Quickly, hold them up. Don't touch anything. Keep them up. Yeah. Who is it? Who have you got? I can't see. Dorcas. I can't see. You have to help me because my eyes aren't good. Well done. It's Dorcas. Well done. I was going to give more clues, but I'm glad I didn't need to. All right, I'm just going to do 2 more. Okay. Okay, this one isn't a job. I'm gonna ask you to list all the jobs that this person had. Okay. So, King David, should be easy. List all his jobs. King David. I'm going to be doing a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Captains, phones up. Captain Shea, phones up. Angel, phones up. Phones up. All right, I'm going to go to each of you. Captains, keep your phones up. You're not to read any extras, okay? List out how many jobs.
King, shepherd, musician, servant, and fighter.
Your points will go, you know. Okay, thank you. All right, go on.
Shepherd, king, soldier, husband, musician, priest, father, adulterer.
Oh, wait. How many was that? 7. How many did you get? Okay. Some of them aren't jobs. I'm not going to lie to you. So I need to check them over. Hold on. Shh. Phone up, Taya. Angel, phone up, please.
Shepherd, king, musician.
Hold on. Shh.
Shepherd, king, musician, poet, huntsman, advisor, warrior, and servant.
Who's on this team? Okay. How many is that? These are the ones I had. So, okay.
Shepherd, king, musician, captain, and soldier.
Okay, this team won. Adulterer is definitely not a job, guys. The key one, no, one of the ones that I'm glad you guys picked up was a poet. Yeah? So that was one of the ones that was missed. One of the other ones that I had put was I put professional killer, but, you know. So, just saying, that was one that was missed. Murderer is not a job, but professional killer. Hitman, that's it, but I call it professional killer. All right, so we've got time for one more? Okay. This one is going to be tricky. We'll do 2 more, if that's all right, okay? So this one is, I'll do this one and I'll do the last one, which is a bit harder. You need to guess the character. So I need to pick one of these ones because some of these are a bit easy. Okay. I am into politics. I'm in the New Testament. I'm a disciple. I can't give you any more, man. Is he a disciple? Oh, maybe he's not a disciple. No, he is a disciple. Okay, maybe calling him a politician was a bit of a stretch. So, okay, I'm into politics. How about that? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Captains, phones up, please. Captains, phones up. Angel, what have you got? Who? Okay. Okay. Who have you got? Who have you got? Yeah, Simon. Simon the Zealot. Zealot. They're into politics and all them things. Well done over there. Well done. Who's keeping score? Because I'm not. Okay, last one. Danielle's told me I got. Love. Okay, last one. This is a bonus question. How many carpenters are listed in the Bible? Or carpentry type jobs. So carpenters or carpentry type jobs. You can list their names or the times when they're listed. Sorry? No. So it can be, just to clarify, you get bonus points or clout if you get the names of the carpenters. But I want to know how many times is carpentry, carpenting, whatever you call it, listed in the Bible. Carpenting. You can give me the people as well, so if that makes it a bit easier, because I know it's a bit of a hard question. So you can give me the people or the situations where carpentry is used. I'm flexible with this one because it is quite hard. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Phones up. Do not check Google, please. Google's banned. Phones up. Okay. Angel.
Noah, Jesus, Joseph, and Noah's sons. That's 5.
Okay, lovely.
Noah, Joseph, Jesus, David, Paul, Aaron, Haman, Mordecai, Solomon.
I didn't have Mordecai.
Jesus, Joseph, Noah, Japheth, Shem, Ham, and the people building the temple.
Okay, nice. A scenario, because you could give that. Well done.
Jesus, Joseph, Noah and his children, and the person that built the cross.
Oh, none. Did you put none in? Yeah. None. Okay. All right, so carpentry is actually mentioned 19 times in the Bible. It's a popular job. All the names you listed were ones, I didn't get Mordecai, so well done. But also, so situations where I guess carpentry was used or things were being built. So the Bible gives lots of instructions to go and build something, okay? So we've got in Genesis, building the ark. We've got in Exodus, it was described that the Spirit of God and wisdom was given to Bezalel, Uri, and those others in the tribe of Judah, that they had skills and knowledge in craftsmanship, were able to make designs for working on gold, silver, and bronze. We had Hiram, the king of Tyre, who sent messengers to David with cedar trees and carpenters and stonemasons because they built a house for David. In Chronicles, we've got another one, same thing. Solomon's builders also built him a house. We've got lots of people's houses being built. We've got, there's loads, you can look it up, but there's lots of them. So last bonus question. How many times is money mentioned in the Bible? To be honest, that was a sermon here. That's the first time I heard it, so I'm just saying, if you was paying attention, you would know. And that's the last question before Danielle kicks me off the mic. I'm done. Stop Googling. Uncle Vic, stop Googling. This team is disqualified. He's a cheat. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Phones up. Anybody? Any guesses from team 4? 57. Go on, Shaya. Any guesses? How many times? I can't hear you. Okay. You cheat. Definitely cheat. Okay, so the Bible, there are 2,300 verses where money, gold, silver, so you know gold and silver was money, okay, are mentioned in the Bible as currency, yeah? And, hold on, there are 140, essentially, stories, paragraphs, etc., about money and about currency, and 11 of the parables are about finances and money to some degree, or they have that involved in it. So yeah. Thank you for joining in. I hope it was fun. And I hope it was nice to get to know some other people. We don't have a winner because so many of you cheated, so I can't count. I'm sorry. All you see, sunset went and you said, let's Google, so it's all right. Okay, if you don't want to stay where you are, please just go back to your seats and then we'll go along with the program. This mic is really bad.
Hi, everybody. So we're going to move into the panels now. But before I call the panel members up, I want anyone under 12 to put their hands up. Anyone under 12? Under 12. So for you guys under 12, yeah. You're under 12 though. Okay, anyone under 12, can you go upstairs as we have J's on? So anyone under 12? Yeah. Sorry. If they could stay. Pardon? 12 and under. Yeah. Okay. If you want to stay, you can stay in there. But yeah. For the kids, you can go upstairs for the Jace program. Yeah. So I'm gonna call the panel members up. So yeah, can the panel members come up? They know who they are, the panel members. Uncle Viv. Yeah, can you just grab a mic as well and just pass it down? So we're at the introduction part of our panel. So I'm gonna ask you guys to go in order, and I want you to introduce yourselves. Can you tell us a bit about your position and where you work? So Uncle Viv.
So my name's Viv Lindo. Can you hear me? It's mic. It's really this. Is it me or is the mic? Yeah. So my name's Viv Lindo. I work at AstraZeneca. I'm a senior director, and I work in the process of manufacturing drugs or pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals designed to make people's lives better. That's what I do.
Can you hear? Not sure this one's on.
You can just.
Hello. Hi. My name is Rodney Jones. I'm an IT consultant. I develop application software for businesses, and I've been doing it for quite a few years now. Basically, what I do is work on specific modules within businesses, mainly on the finance area, and I build those systems for them based on their requirements. So if you just think about a whole enterprise, an enterprise will just have different subsets or organizational structure. So you've got the sales, procurement, finance, so on and so forth. So whichever area that you specialize in, you can specialize in building those modules, and I specialize in the finance one.
Hello. Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a senior staff nurse and I work in a sexual health clinic. So basically, my job basically what I do is I just do consultations, diagnose infections, examine patients, treat them, and I see a range of patients, you know, male, female, young people, older people, MSM, bi, etc., etc. So I see a whole range of people, and it's a very interesting job.
Hi, I'm Sharif Omar. I work in recruitment consultancy, so I'm a director with a company called Randstad, who are a Dutch-owned global brand. My specialist area is finance and accounting and financial services, and I run that division for the UK.
Hello, I'm Leanne. I'm a coroner's officer for, I'm a coroner's officer for His Majesty's Coroner for West London. So that's based at West London Coroner's Court. My job is to investigate into any deaths that happen within West London that are deemed as suspicious or violent, or if the cause isn't known. And we'll do that via post-mortem, investigations, or inquests within the court.
Thank you for sharing a little bit about your career. Our next question is, what does a typical day look like for you? So starting off with Auntie Leanne. Well, what does a typical day look like for you?
Okay, typical day. So we log on. It's mostly online at the moment. So we get allocated the deaths that occurred throughout the night before. Generally have about 3 to 4 that morning. I will assess it to see which way it needs to go. Look into what sort of information I can find out about it. That's the investigative side of things. Depending on what it looks like, I will then refer it to the coroner, liaise with her. Our senior coroner is a woman, which is great. And then we will liaise about how to go forward with that particular case. And then it will be decided whether it will go down what I mentioned beforehand, the investigation route or the inquest route. So an inquest is just like a court case, if you like, but it's to determine the cause of death, if it is violent or unnatural, that sort of thing. I get to deal with a lot of bereaved families, as you can imagine. I've got to liaise with a lot of legal teams, hospitals, witnesses. We have to orchestrate those. It's really, really interesting. And it's nice to be able to be there for people when they're feeling at their most vulnerable. So it's pretty good.
So recruitment's quite broad, but to keep it very, very simple, most days there'll be a ton of different types of meetings, but in its most basic form, your goal is you're pretty much a matchmaker for clients, businesses who need people, and candidates, people who want work. So a lot of time is spent networking, meeting clients, finding out about their requirements, having lunches, entertaining, and building those relationships and partnerships, as well as actually proactively headhunting and meeting candidates as well, and hopefully making a good match. That's just the most kind of simple form of recruitment. But within that, you're just trying to manage processes, offers, expectations. I do a lot of financial forecasting in terms of what I do for a public company. It's also a sales career as well. So there's quite high targets you need to exceed financially as well. But essentially, tons of networking with businesses and candidates, and then hopefully making a good match. So yeah, that's recruitment in essence.
My typical day is very varied. So in the mornings we have a walk-in clinic, so we can get about 50 patients walking in for whatever reason. It could be just because they want some counselling, or they think they've got an infection. They might even want to check they've got might be pregnant. It could be anything. So I log in 8 o'clock in the morning. Patients come through. I do a consultation with them to find out what's wrong with them and why they're coming in. So as I said, it could be because they think they've got symptoms of an infection. So if they've got symptoms of infection, as I said, do the consultation, do the examination by doing swabs and bloods, look under the microscope, see if I can diagnose anything, and we also send tests off to the lab. If I do see anything under the microscope, then I give treatment, and ask them to, if they've had partners or partner, then ask them to let those partners know of the infection, because they'll be passing it on to other people. Then I might have a clinic which is for sorry. So I'm just a bit nervous. Men who have sex with the same sex. So I have a clinic for those kind of patients, and in that clinic we also see things about infections. And I have to prescribe them a treatment called PrEP, which is something called pre-exposure prophylaxis. So it's helped to prevent them from contracting HIV. Then I might also have a young person's clinic, which is for patients who are under 19. So we can get patients from 13 up until 19. which we have to counsel, we have to assess that they're competent to understand why they're in the clinic, have to assess to see if there's any things like trafficking, county lines, all that kind of stuff. Check that they understand why they're doing what they're doing. And we also often have to encourage them, if they haven't spoken to a parent or anything, encourage them to speak to a parent, or whether it's a sister or auntie or whatever. And if we think there's anything untoward going on, then we have to refer them to outside agencies. As I said, we get a varied amount of patients. You know, we get people who are MSM, we get transgender individuals, and it can be difficult, but I've got a job to do, so I have to be non-judgmental, which can be difficult. So that's kind of my typical day.
So my typical day all depends on what phase of the project I'm on. So I work on a project. We're going into companies to actually deliver and implement systems. So there's going to be a phase and a roadmap to actually deliver that project. So you'll have what they call, for example, the prepare phase, the explore phase, realize phase, deployment phase, and the run phase. So it's from end to end. We go inside and find out what it is, get it set up and mobilized, find out what it is that they want to do, get all the sign-offs. Then we start talking to the business to find out what it is that they actually want, and then telling them what the system actually delivers as a solution for them. They then need to do a series of training. There's some self-enablement training, as well as training key professionals to actually do the processes, who will then do the training later on. Once we've actually captured everything that they want, we actually start to build it in the realize phase. We build everything. Once we build it, it has to be tested by us. Then it needs to be tested by the users. All sign-offs needs to be done at that point. After the testing is done, we start mobilizing all the data that needs to be loaded into the system. So the company could actually have a system that they've used before that is not compatible with the one that I work with. So we're just doing a full transition. So that transition is going to be, they're going to have a lot of data that needs to be coming from their legacy system, which is their original system, going into the new system. All that data needs to be cleansed, it needs to be changed, and basically ready to go into the new system. Once that's done at that stage, then they need to test the data in the system, run some other tests, just do some user acceptance testing, which is where the users are actually making sure that the system does what we've told them that it does. And they need to be happy that it does what they need it to do to run their business. Once that's done, we move into the run phase, which is go live phase, and we're going live. So I can come into a project at any point of those phases, in prepare, explore, realize, deploy, run. I can come in at any of those phases and know what I need to do at that stage. Because I don't always come in at the beginning of a project. Sometimes people drop out of projects and you have to jump into them. So my day can be totally varied, and that's what I actually like about my job. It's a matter of coming and finding out what's going on, where are we, where do we need to get to, getting it done. I'm speaking to everybody in the business. There's key people in the business that are set up as the key business process owners. You have the sponsors, which oversee the whole project. What they say, go. The other people are just basically for me to just be able to speak with and just get the information that I need, and just making sure that they get the solution that they have asked for. I might have said too much and confused everybody, but I hope everybody understood part of that.
Thank you. So if you think about the process of drug development, it's very regulated. There are agencies who are really scrupulous about what we put into patients. So if you think about what they're most interested in, the most interesting thing is the drug safe. Secondly, can you make it consistently? There's no point making it looks like this one day, next time you make it, it looks like that. They're not going to accept that. You also want to know whether it's stable. So there's no point in making it, and after 2 weeks, it's something else. They want to understand that you can make it, and it's stable, and it's safe. So there are really three key components of what they do. My job is involved in understanding those areas. So what a typical day for me would be, so we also have a range of technologies within my organization, my team, where we can take the drug apart completely. We can take the formulation, split it apart, and understand all the components in that formulation. So it's my job to ensure that what we say is in it, is in it. There's no point in, again, claiming this and claiming X and having Y. So my job is to make sure that if we say X is in it, X is actually in it. And we have a lot of technologies and instruments and machines that really analyze the components of any drug formulation to make sure what's in it is in it. And secondly, what we do as well is we put the drug on stability, which means that we force it to degrade under conditions to understand how it behaves over time. So when you look at your drug and it says expiry date, December, whatever it is, we ensure that that expiry date is true. In December, the drug should be the same as it was in the beginning. And we ensure that it's like that. We also look at the components of the drug to ensure that they don't cause any harm. There's some things that we know are harmful. Sometimes you have to formulate small amounts of things that are potentially harmful in a product to make it work, but we ensure that those levels are never exceeded, that it will cause any harm to a patient. And that's my job as well, to ensure that the levels of any components in it are not of the levels that will cause harm to a patient. So again, my typical job is to look at a range of data that fits those criteria and essentially sign it off and say this particular drug is safe to be administered to patients at that stage. That's in essence what I do most of my day.
Thank you for sharing. So the third question is, at what age did you know what you wanted to do? Why did you choose this job? So Uncle Viv, you're going to tell us?
I think I always wanted to be a scientist, either that or a train driver, one of the two. But I think I was always interested in science. And to be honest, I didn't like reading books, to be honest. And I knew some subjects, geography, English, you really had to read a lot of books. And I didn't like reading books like that. Funny enough, I spend a lot of time reading now, but I didn't like it back then. And science books didn't have a lot of text in them. They had a lot of pictures and they were very illustrative, and I kind of like that. So I found it interesting. I remember one day I went to the library, picked a book up. I must have been about 13, and it was a book about lightning, thunderstorms, how lightning was generated in the cloud. And I was captivated by this, and I realized at that stage I kind of like science. I liked the idea that you could predict things happening using science. So I think, realistically, from quite a young age, maybe 13, 14, I sort of knew I wanted to be a scientist.
When I was 16, I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. Prior to that, I wanted to be an engineer because I just saw lots of people that I knew that were engineers that looked exciting. Building things, making things, seeing how things work, that sort of thing. It looks exciting, and also I understood that it paid a lot of money. And let's be real here. Money is a factor, right? We need to pay bills, but it's a good job. But at the age of 16, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do at that point. I just give a bit of background here. You know Michael Osei? Yeah. My dad got him to come to my house and speak to me when I was 16, and that directed me in the direction of doing accountancy, because he was a chartered accountant. And that's where I got my direction. So the reason why I'm here today is because we need to give back when people give. I think that's very important. And that put me on the road to where I am today. And I have to give God thanks for that, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do at that point, let alone even having the qualifications that I needed at that point. But because I got that direction, the end of the following year had all of the qualifications that I needed to go in that direction. So I headed towards accountancy. and I went through and passed my accountancy exams. And I worked doing that for a while. But then I did change my job later on. So instead of doing the figures, I was doing the computing and IT behind all of the figures. So that's what happened, and that's my journey.
I always wanted to be a PE teacher, but I was advised by a family member that there was no prospects in being a PE teacher. So, of course, you listen to your family. Yeah. And I was told, oh, your auntie's a nurse, and this auntie's a nurse. Why don't you do nursing? So I went into nursing. I did what I was told. I didn't enjoy doing nursing, I'll be honest. But I finished the course. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do afterwards, but I knew I wasn't going to work on the wards. And the job that I'm in now, I've been doing it since 2001. And I happened to fall into the job by looking in The Guardian at the time. They used to have jobs in The Guardian. And I saw a job for sexual health at Charing Cross Hospital, and that's how I got into it. And I have enjoyed the job. It can become a bit tiresome, and I have popped in and out a couple of times, but I've always found myself back into sexual health and contraception. And I think that's where I might be staying, because that's where I'm comfortable, and that's what I know. And I like advising and helping people. And it's good that with some of the young people, I could just talk to them on a level, so I talk to them like I'm talking to my children. And that's what I enjoy about my job.
So I kind of fell into recruitment. So my background was, my degree was in sports science. After university, I spent a few years abroad and also working in fitness, personal training. But I wanted a career change. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. So I applied for a load of random things, but I didn't know what they were. One of which was recruitment consultancy. I knew what it was, but I didn't really understand it. And yeah, was given an opportunity, tried it out, hated it for the first 6-9 months, but needed a job. And look, I stuck with it, and I became, started to really enjoy it. And so 16 years later, I'm still in the game. So there's no profound story of, I wanted to be a recruiter. No one grows up wanting to be a recruiter, right? When you're like 6 years old, I want to be a recruitment consultant, and we'll work with accountants. But so no profound story. I kind of fell into it, and 16 years later, still enjoying it.
I didn't necessarily also think I want to be a coroner's officer. I just sort of had a bit of a fascination with biology. I loved the concept of the human body and how it works, that sort of thing. It sort of went over to the other side a bit, more in terms of how does the body tend to change when it's no longer living, so, once death has occurred. So that interest was there, but I have an underlying sort of way of being where I want to ensure that people are feeling okay in general, that people's needs are being met. So it was kind of like a fusion of the two. So I ended up doing, I was a funeral arranger for quite a while, so I was able to assist in the background in terms of preparation with the bodies and whatnot, but I was also tending to the needs of the bereaved people and making sure that they were okay. And then I moved on to being an APT, an anatomical pathology technician within the mortuary, so that was assisting with the post-mortem. So it was all sort of similar stuff within the same field, and then ended up realising that I wanted to do a bit more than what I was doing, and so the coroner's officer was sort of like the natural next step. Wasn't really sure if I would be able to get into that field because it tended to be quite a closed field. You have to have a certain background, but they recently changed the guidelines, and so God pretty much opened it up for me, and now I'm in it, and I'm really enjoying it.
So for those who are interested into getting into your career, what would you recommend studying or reading?
Shall I start?
Pardon?
Shall I start?
Yes.
So I think having a background, well, if you're interested in the human body, then that would probably help. knowing a bit of the law would also help, legal side of things when you're in court. But other than that, it tends to be quite open. You just need to ensure that you're good at communicating. So it's quite basic skills that are quite easy to acquire. Just ensuring that you've got a person's best interest at heart, that that you can communicate well verbally, written. Confidentiality, just knowing the importance of when to keep your mouth shut, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's about it.
And like in terms of education and studying for GCSEs and A-levels, did you have to do any of that?
I had GCSEs in the background. I had 10 GCSEs. I did A-levels as well. I went to uni, although I didn't complete it. That didn't seem to be held against me because I think through all of the experience that I had gained within that field around this particular role, it sort of all came together to allow me to do the role. So I wouldn't say there was a specific thing that I had to study. I think just ensuring that you get a well-rounded education would obviously be a bonus.
In terms of recruitment, in terms of your education, there's quite an openness on degree background. So most larger firms will hire grad trainees from any discipline. However, many people get into it without a degree as well. So normally it's a graduate trainee role, or generally if you have a couple of years business-to-business sales experience, most companies will give you a shot. So I wouldn't say you need to study something specifically, but yeah, any degree will give you an opportunity or some sales experience, business-to-business. 1 to 2 years will secure an opportunity.
With mine, you have to complete the nursing course. And then once you've done the nursing, it's best to do like general nursing, and then you can branch out into whatever field you want to go into. Sorry, what was the question again?
So, what would you recommend studying or reading in order to get into your career?
So yeah, do the nursing course. And then if you're interested in sexual health, it's good to have an interest in infections and contraception. You do need to have a strong stomach. You have to be non-judgmental. As Leanne said, you need to have confidentiality. And it's not a job you can do just for a job sake. You have to love the job. Because of the things that come in, you can't just, some of them, even Tony knows, I come home and I start, because you have to get it off your chest, some of the things that you see. So you can't just do it for doing its sake. It's something you have to love. But yeah, you need your GCSEs, you need your nursing degree or diploma, and then you can branch out into sexual health.
Thank you.
Okay, so in my field, because I'm focusing on the finance side, it's definitely beneficial to have some type of finance qualification or accounting qualification. Some people do actually just go straight into work and work their way up. Could take a little bit longer to do it that way, but there is no substitute for practical experience, because a lot of what I was able to do wasn't based on my qualifications. It was based on the practical experience that I had and the experiences that I had in those jobs. But I had to throw myself into it. You have to have drive, not just for exams, but just drive and self-motivation to just find solutions to problems. Also, throwing yourself into and being dedicated into your studies as well, because the studies are part and parcel. It makes it easier because they tick the box. Yeah, it just ticks the box for recruiters that you've got that particular qualification. But there's some people that have the qualification, they don't have the experience. So it's a chicken and egg situation again. You're trying to get the job, you can't get the job because you haven't got the experience, and then you got the experience, they want the qualification. So there's a little bit of luck inside there as well. Yeah, but I would say that most of what I've been able to do is because I threw myself into doing certain things because I just had a passion for doing what I wanted to do and what I was enjoying. And you have to enjoy it most of all. But I would say in terms of qualifications, it doesn't hurt, doesn't harm. It will always help you to have the qualifications behind you.
So I have a PhD in biochemistry, and that's the route I took to get into it. I wouldn't say you need a PhD necessarily to get into it, but I'll be honest with you, I think most people that we recruit do have PhDs or minimum master's degrees. But there are other routes. I mean, there are people who have got first degrees and come in with first degrees. There's some people who do an apprentice degree. So they come out of A-levels and they do the on-the-job training and they get a degree in work. So various routes. I would say that the higher the qualification you get, the higher you can start on the scale. And that's quite important, because if you start at quite a junior level, it can take quite a number of years to rise up the ranks, versus spending an extra year getting a master's degree or a PhD, and then you end up, your starting level is higher, and your career progression is a lot quicker. So just to summarize, I don't think you need a PhD, but I would admit most people do enter it with a PhD.
Thank you for answering. So we've finished with the introductions, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. So my first question is, has your faith ever been tested at work in any job that you did? So you've done before. Viv?
I don't think it has. People ask me this question quite a bit, and they assume you're a scientist and therefore you're in conflict with the Bible. You're not. I don't think you are at all. I think you know where you stand with your faith and the Bible, and it's very rarely in conflict. God is a God of science. He's a God of, he's a God of everything. He's a God of nature. So I don't think I'm ever conflicted there. If anything, I might be conflicted by some of the drive often to develop medicines where natural cures could work. That's where I might be conflicted. But the actual job I do, I've never been conflicted between my faith and my job, ever.
It's a no for me as well. I think it's just been more a case of just treating people like people. Doesn't really matter where they're from, what their religion is, what their culture is, or whatever it is. You come into an environment where you have to work together with people, so you need to be able to engage with them at their level. If there's something that's different to you, you still have to learn how to work with that person, because there's a job to get done. So that doesn't really impede on what I think about my Christianity and what somebody else thinks about whatever religion there are. I haven't had that issue at all. I think we have to treat people like people and know that people have other ideas about from their cultural perspective, from their religious perspective, and you accept, you might not agree with it, but you have to work with them. You don't have a choice. You're in an environment where you have to learn how to work together. We're inside of this church all together. We don't all think the same way, do we? So we just need to learn how to live together in harmony and work together to get the job done.
I go to work, I do my job, and there are times I do see individuals or patients, or something happens at work where it's forced on us regarding the LGBT, etc. I don't have any conflict because I know where I stand. But I just go to the work, just do my job. There are times when I'm doing a job and I am thinking in my head, I don't agree, but I just switch off and I just do my job. So, for example, I might have patients who are having underage sex, or they might find themselves in a position where they might be pregnant and they don't want to continue with a pregnancy. I've got to counsel them and refer them. And sometimes it can be difficult. And especially when you get patients who come in for the same thing, so they might have gonorrhea one week, and they come back 2 weeks later with gonorrhea again, and they're just doing it over and over and over again. After a while, it does get on my nerves, I'm not going to lie. But I've got to be impartial and just help them, counsel them, try and get them help from someone else, whether it's a health advisor. And basically, I just try to educate them, because some of them, they haven't been told how to have self-respect for themselves or anything like that. So, for example, I've had a patient who was having sex left, right, and centre with different men. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, should I say something? Shouldn't I? And I said a little prayer, because I thought, I don't want to get myself into trouble. I feel as I've got to say something. And I said to her, why do you think all these people are sleeping with you? And she just sat there. And I was honest. I said to her, I'll be honest, it's not for your looks. I said, it's because you walk. No, it's not funny. I'm being serious. I said to her, it's not for your looks. I said, you're walking around with a sign on your forehead that's saying, I'm desperate. And I spent half an hour talking to her. And at the end of it, she said to me, she said, Michelle, thanks for telling me. No one else ever spoke to me like that. So even though I have conflict, my job is to educate, counsel, and do what I can to help them. But I just put on because I can't show how I really feel. Yeah. Be professional, that's right.
So I think, I wouldn't say necessarily a direct conflict, but as an industry, sometimes it's known for being a bit sharky, or perhaps a lack of integrity. So trying to create a culture of integrity and good practice and values. And also as a Christian as well, sometimes, I know my last company, I was there for 9 years, and it was a bit of an old boys club there, and perhaps there's pressure to conform and be a certain way, and I never conformed. So I guess, I wouldn't say conflict, but I guess as a Christian to have your values and to live by those values, shall we say.
As Sharif, I wouldn't say direct conflict either. In general, there's a lot of gossip going on in the office and stuff like that, so I just tend to try and let them do their thing, and I'll be on the outskirts just trying to keep my head down and, getting on with my work. So I try not to get involved with office politics, because that could really sort of get me off track. So I just try and focus on my cases, and as much as I would like to tell these people on the end of the phone, the families that I'm dealing with as well, that, don't worry, God cares, that sort of thing, I think that might be a bit of a conflict. I have to try and hold that back a little, but I'll try and display that in other ways and just, help them to feel comforted. And then many times I've actually finished with a case, and I myself will pray for that person, like in my mind, so that they're covered, knowing just how much of a hard time they're dealing with. Yeah.
So my second question is, what do you wish you knew when you were making your career decision?
I'll be honest, when I started my job, I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't prepared, so I wish I knew about all the different, actually I don't even know if I wish I knew. I don't know, sometimes ignorance is bliss, but I'm there now. But I wish I knew, I was prepared for the different practices of individuals and the way people lived. When I started, I'll be honest, it was a big shock to me because I was innocent. So I wish I was a bit more prepared. Sorry? I'll speak to you later.
I think, I don't think it would have changed my decision at all. I really think I made the best career decision. But when you study a PhD, and it takes about 3 or 4 years to do it, and it's really like running a marathon, sometimes you want to give up. You automatically think when you get your qualification and you get that doctor before your name, you're going to be in the money and things are going to be great. I was unemployed. and I had no money for a long time. In fact, it's a long story, but I actually got sacked. And I had no job for a while, contemplating going to the States because I didn't have any way of making a living. Fortunately, I managed to find my first job, but for a long time, you are desperately poor. And those initials before your name mean absolutely nothing. And you don't have any money for ages. So I think it's useful telling people that you need to study this thing because you want to. You enjoy the field, you have a line of sight to where you want your career to head to, and you're not focused on the money because it does not guarantee you money at all.
I just want to add to that as well. Although education is important, when it comes to applying for jobs, you need to know the criteria that you need for that purpose. Because the career might meet, like for example, you want to be an accountant. For certain industries, like if you're going into practice, you need to get certified. If you're going to go into organizations, management organizations, you don't necessarily need to be certified to work as an accountant. Because being signed off as an accountant means you can sign off charts, you could sign off accounts and so forth. But if you're working in an office, in an organization, you don't need that level. Yeah, it's just good to have, and also it can increase your pay. But in order to get into actual job, I can tell you that I've got jobs without being qualified, and it's because of my experience. Yes, there are other people that have got the qualifications and they can't do the job, and so they give the job to me to do. And it's really important to make sure that you have the skills. So if the qualification is going to give you the skills, as in you're going to get practical knowledge, or you're going to get some practical experience, such as me going on the courses that I've had to pay for to go onto those courses, in order to get the experience that I need, then yes. But just getting a degree for the sake of getting a degree doesn't mean it's going to guarantee you the job. And that's what lots of people get stuck with in my area. I don't know about other areas, but in my area. They have the qualification, but they just haven't got the skills. And you go into, you sit in the interview, and the interviewer is asking you questions, and you cannot answer the questions because you don't have the practical skills. The theoretical skills is not going to deal with the actual scenarios that they have in the workplace. And so that's the conflict that you have between getting the qualification and having the skills to do the job. When you go for that interview, they say, can you do this? If the answer is no, you're out the door. For me, I didn't know how to do it. Theoretically, I knew how to do it. I said yes. I could speak to them and tell them how you would do it. They'd have to go inside the job and prove that I can do it. Make sure you know how to do it, or else you'll be out the door as well. But the key is you need the skills. That's the point I want to make. You have to make sure that you get the right skills to do the job.
Can I just add one more thing? There was another thing that I wasn't prepared for. So going into job, I was naive. I didn't realise how much conflict it was to what we believe. So I just went there thinking it's just a job, where a lot of what we believe or we have in the Bible is the complete opposite. So that's what I wasn't prepared for as well.
Thank you. So now I'm going to allow the congregation to ask any questions that they have. So just put your hands up and, yeah, we'll allow you to ask the questions.
So if you enter the job into one level, for most of you, because I'm curious about most of you, I think all of you, but what did you do to progress and elevate in that job? Or what do you know that can elevate you?
I was going to touch on that actually as well. So in terms of going back to the prior question and also your question as well, one thing I wish I knew before I got into my world was how to play the game, the corporate game. You know, we're taught growing up, you work hard, you get results, you'll be rewarded. That's nonsense. obviously it is important to work hard, but it's about being able to build those relationships, even with those people who are quite difficult at all levels. And those who do that well, your career will elevate a lot more as well. I remember seeing a talk a few months ago, and I think it perfectly summed up what I'm trying to say. If you want to progress in any career, it's about results. I think we often focus on results, but getting results alone isn't enough. It's also about your reputation, which sometimes perception is reality, and also relationships. So I would say what I've learned in my last company, I was there for 9 years, I got to a certain level and I hit a ceiling. I had really good results, but I didn't work hard enough in those other 2 areas. In my new company, I've been there just over 2 years. I worked in all 3 areas and I've been elevated a lot more. So that'll just be some, even those people who are really tricky to work with, there were some idiots in my last company. Just being frank, I'll be very, very frank. And I was quite dismissive of them and didn't really engage, but that was wrong. You just gotta, it's not about being fake, you've gotta learn to work with everybody. Difficult people at all levels. I've seen people get elevated who don't deserve it, but they play the game well. So that is the reality, in my view. Be yourself. Don't be fake. Have your integrity and your values and your honesty, but build those relationships. Yeah.
No, but they
In your specific field, what does the, I guess, top leadership kind of, I think, not just management, so I'd assume, for example, in NHS, you're going to have, I don't know, head of the department, etc. And in recruitment, you might have your directors in a specific company, same in finance. What do those, I guess, the demographic look like? And is that a ceiling that you think can be smashed, broken? Is that something that you think the lay person can access, if they can't, And the last part of the question is, would you ever want to get there? That high in your career? I hope that's not too confusing.
Are you talking about in
terms of directors, leadership.
The racial ceiling?
Not just that, though. So it could be racial, it could be age-wise, gender. What does it look like? Is there a specific demographic that makes up that ceiling, if you want to call it that, or that director level? And is that something you'd ever want to achieve or get to? If not, why not? If yes, why?
So I think probably most of us will have the same thing same thing in common. Above my level, white male men. Well, males and men are the same, obviously. White men. So, to be honest, I think things are changing, and not to take up too much time. We had our company particularly had a meeting where we were addressing that racial divide, and it was just after George Floyd, the incident, and the company was very sensitized to that, and recognizing that above my levels, mainly on white men. And really wanting to do something about it. They convened the panel to really discuss it, and they got most of the company together to discuss it. And then half an hour into the meeting, somebody, a black lady, intervened on the Zoom and said, "How can you have a panel discussing racial integration when the panel is only white men?" and they stopped the meeting there and then, and because I don't think they'd realized at that point what the gravity of the situation, and how ingrained it was to have this kind of male and white hierarchy. I don't think that's any different. NHS is probably the same. I'm sure Michelle will tell you about it. Maybe any organisation that's quite large has that same problems. I think it's changing, but very, very slowly. And you will find that the more senior you get, the less diverse it becomes, and the fewer black people you do find there. And it's something that's difficult to break through. There aren't many people at my grade, at my level. I have to be very few people at my grade. It takes a long time to work yourself there, and I think it's God. It's the experience you gain in church, the fluency you have with speaking to people, conducting meetings, the things you learn here that you kind of take for granted really put you in good stead when you go into the workplace. And what Sri said about networking, essential. You need to network with people you wouldn't. So we're all majority Afro-Caribbean here. You can't be doing that. You need to network with people who you wouldn't normally network with. The indigenous people, they have their pubs. They go to the pubs, and we don't do that. We need to find ways of networking to bring ourselves to a place where we can be considered for those promotions and we can get to those levels. It's really, really important.
Yeah, Auntie Nymphia's online, and I think she has a question for you guys.
I'm not sure if the mic's on. Auntie Lynthia, if you could, we're going to come back to you and we'll see if we can get comms to turn it on. It will be Joshua and then Taya, and then we'll go online. And Auntie Bernie, we've got lots of questions. Uncle Viv has to leave at 6 o'clock. So
Danielle, I'll hang around a bit.
Okay, okay. But whenever you need to.
What's the hardest thing about your job and why?
For me, one of the hardest things is when you get a lot of the really young children come in. And as I said, part of my job is consultation. So when you know, one of the questions I have to ask them is when they first start engaging in activities. And when you hear them saying age 12, etc., it really breaks my heart. And you know, when you see them coming in their school uniform, and the first time they started coming in, I started thinking about my own children, and I was just frightened. You know, and you know, you hear the things that they've gone through. So I had like she came with her mother, and it was a young girl. She was about just turning 16, and I was just doing a consultation with her, and all I said was, I asked her a question, she started freaking out. And I was like, what's going on? And it turned out she had an ex-partner who was physically beating her, coercive behaviour, etc., etc. And I could feel the tears were coming to my eyes. But I thought, Michelle, you can't do this because it's not very professional. So I just had to excuse myself. I went out to speak to someone. I just started crying because I'm thinking this could be my children. And that's what I find hard. You know, seeing all these young children, I'm thinking it could be one of ours because you never say never. And that's what I find the young children hard to deal with.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Michelle's saying. That resonates with me as well, because as much as I enjoy what I do, it's very hard to know that there are so many people out there that are hurting, and not just a regular level sort of hurt. It's deep, deep pain. And as well as you can do your job, you're still not fully giving them what they need to be able to get through their grief. So that side of things is quite tough to deal with. Yeah.
If you were to meet a young person who wanted to get into your career, what is one feature or characteristic they might have about them that would make you think, oh, I don't think they should get into this job?
You can't be judgmental. You have to have a caring disposition. And you can't be, I can't think of the word. I think the biggest thing is you can't judge. You can't judge. You can't go into that job and be judging people left, right, and centre, because everything you do in that job is going to be in conflict with what you do, what you believe, basically.
While I'm walking to Auntie Bernie, because I'm in a very similar job to Sharif, but I'm on the client side, just to let you know, there are studies, 80 to 85% of people get jobs through networking. And that's why you'll always find a gentleman's club right at the top, because they are networking to their friends. I see it, and I have to challenge managers all the time on diversity. Very challenging, but that's what's happening. And what one of a black director said to me, we need more managers, we need more directors that look like us, because we hire, with instinct. You just hire people that look like you, that has similar values to you. So that's the purpose of this session today.
Thank you. Just something Uncle Viv said, which I want to ask the panel. I suppose it applies to Viv, but the other panel members. Often we hear mention young people and people who are now on a career path. And it happens to older people as well in terms of needing soft skills. Have you come across that, and what would you advise our young people if they're going into roles? I know you say being in this environment prepares them, but from a panel point of view, are there soft skills that you would encourage or you would say that individuals need to help them through going through their career?
I think that some of the soft skills that are needed is to be tenacious, to be confident. That doesn't just happen. That's, you know, confidence is something that some people just have it. Some people it has to grow. Yeah. When you are going to go to an interview, the interviewers, if they are skilled, they can smell fear. They can smell something else, which I won't mention here, but people call it something else, but they smell that you cannot do the job if you conduct yourself in a certain way. Confidence is paramount when you go into that interview. You need to own it. It's learned skills. A lot of the interview skills that I've learned from YouTube. Research, you know, talk to people. I'm on LinkedIn. I speak to other professionals that are in my field. These are the sort of networking that we're talking about that you need to do in order to be able to understand what the environment that you're trying to get into requires. It's very important in that light to get those links with other professionals in the same field. But there's many other soft skills, so I'm sure that in other areas there's lots of other soft skills that are required. But the most important for me is building that confidence and having that tenacity for what it is that you want to do. Do not give up. If it's what you want, don't give up. If you don't have the skills and you think that somebody doesn't have the skills to do that job, if they are passionate about that job, they need to find out what it is that they need to be able to do that job and find out whether it's something that they actually want to do. Because some jobs are not for everybody. Yeah? My job takes a lot of skills in terms of numeracy, accountancy, business administration, IT, lots of other different skills that you need to actually do the job. If you don't have those things, you will find it difficult because you'll get stuck. People ask you questions, they'll throw problems before you, and you'll be like, you know, a deer in the headlights. So you need to know what you need, what skills you need in order to do those jobs. So those are some of the soft skills I think that you need to do.
And I think, added to that, people need to like you. If they don't like you, they're not going to employ you, full stop. And what happens is people go into interviews and they're nervous and they forget to smile and they give off they give us something which is not attractive to an interviewer. You've got to smile. Practice in the mirror before you leave. You've got to smile. Go in there and smile and make yourself, friendly. An interviewer responds immediately to somebody who smiles, and you get a lot more grace if you can do that. If you come in there with a stern face, you're going to have a hard time. I would say to anybody, practice that. Practice going in there with a pleasant demeanor and smile.
So if I can just come back, quickly on what you said. I so agree with you, Viv, because we seem to be living in a climate now where a lot of interviews are done online. And one of the things that I found recently, a lot of employers are asking for you to put your camera on, obviously on Zoom. And one question I remember the agency saying, or one comment the agency made, is that you need to show your personality when you're actually behind the screen. Because if you don't have a personality, he was saying to me, you won't be, they won't even look at you. So even behind the camera, you need to reflect and show your personality, which is so critical. And I think it's a challenge, but I do agree with you on that. Thank you.
Uncle Mengus?
There's 2 points quickly. Going for an interview is very important. Arriving on time or even 15 minutes before. I have turned people away for turning up late, and even sometimes not even giving a reason why. The other point is networking. I go to the pub with certain managers, but I drink orange juice. We have working lunch in the pub, in the restaurants in pub. You can network with them. We meet up, but I drink orange juice.
Questions?
Hi, it's mainly a question for people in HR. Do you guys use social media to check on people before you actually have an interview or anything?
Well, so I know. In my last company, they would do social media checks, checking like Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. Be the internal recruitment team would do that as part of their policy. So make sure your social media is kosher. No, I mean people can kind of search.
It works both ways. So even when I apply for a job, when I see who the manager is going to be, I always look on them on LinkedIn. Yeah, everything. Can I just check what they're like? Can I check what the clinic's like? And I'm someone, I always go for an informal visit because I want to see what it's like. So I do everything to cover my bases. Yeah.
Okay, moving. So very important to check your social media or put it on private so people can't see easily.
This one's directed more to Leanne. How has dealing with grieving families and obviously bodies affected you mentally over time? Do you feel like it's desensitized you to death?
I think there is a small amount of desensitization that has occurred, but I genuinely feel that the way God built me and designed me is to just be able to deal with these things and not really let it sort of fester in my mind and go to bed, upset and stuff like that. Like I mentioned before, I tend to get upset if I know there's not much more that I can do for that family. But in terms of what I'm dealing with on a day-to-day and what I'm faced with, I think all of my experiences have led me to the point to be able to just deal with them effectively and thankfully not be affected. Yeah.
And then Michelle.
I wanted to bring on earlier, but Viv has alluded to it, and it seemed to me that right across the board, would you agree that interpersonal skills are very important? Because you may have the paper qualification, you may even have some practical experience, but when you present as a human being, I take it that somewhere in there you want to deliver a human being that other human beings feel they want to relate to. And would you say that your church experience and so forth has contributed in helping you to be such a person? Let me just cite a little experience I had. I was going to be interviewed for a position, and a crazy notion came to my head. Got to the venue for the interview, and you have this almighty distance between your entry point into the room and where the interviewer is seated over there. And my focus was on how do I walk from this door over to there without tripping up and looking foolish. Yeah? And you're so focused on wanting to make sure the walk is right. And then it dawned on me, you need to be bold. And before I got there, this idea pinged in my head. So I approached the desk and said, sit down. I said, thank you. Do you know something? It crossed my mind. That grown men should do this to each other, but I'll tell you what, I'll be gentle with you if you will be with me. Now, what sort of madness is that? But that's my personality. I wanted to tap into the personality. And he laughed. And I thought, well, crazy, you're officer's boy, but that was taking a risk. So it seemed to me you have to be bold enough to take a risk to identify yourself as being not traditionally the norm. And he smiled, he said, come on over and sit down, Mr. Officer. Your reputation has preceded you. The position is yours. Let's just talk. And so I'm just going to encourage and challenge us to find your personality and be prepared to engage with that individual and let them see why it might be a loss to them in failing to take you on into the organization.
So the recruiters here, Daniel and Shiv, will know that you're not allowed to reject somebody simply because you don't like them. But recruiters always find a way. If they don't like you, they will reject you based on no reason that you can put on paper. So what Alpha's saying is absolutely correct. You need to have an interpersonal relationship with the interviewer. Absolutely.
Lovely. Okay, Uncle Viv, you've got to go.
I do, yes, I do.
Thank you so much, Uncle Viv. We are continuing, but he's dedicated his time and he's got somewhere to go. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm sure he'll ask them at another time for you.
Hello, I know most of you have mentioned networking. I'm thinking for the young people, where do they gain access to network with people in your industry? And also, do they have opportunities for work experience? Because I know some schools maybe don't do that so much now, but I know sometimes they might have like summer camps or summer opportunities for young people. So are there any opportunities for people to participate in the industry, maybe in summer clubs and things like that?
So, I mean, I'll share a few thoughts around that. So, I know my company and also many other larger recruitment consultancies, they'll offer placement years for university students. So in your third year, if you do have a placement year option, we do offer that as well. Quite a lot of opportunities there, and so do many of our larger competitors. But what I would recommend is from now, start getting on LinkedIn, building connections, reaching out practically for internships, but also collectively as a community here. You know, we should be networking together, knowing what we all do and actually support each other. And I think we talk about this, old boys club. That's basically what they do, right? They all know each other. They know what they do, and they help each other out. So I think as a community, we need to do a lot more working together. But definitely, in recruitment, there's loads of placement years. Get on LinkedIn, build your profile, build connections, proactively try to get work experience where you can. But also on LinkedIn as well. My old picture was like a real stern, serious look. And I was told by a marketing team, that's not very warm. So they got out a photographer. I think it was on there, I'm all smiling. And I was told it's a fake picture. That's not how I look. But you got to look warm and engaging. So definitely LinkedIn for business is definitely a really good platform.
One of the things I learned many moons ago, and Alfred touched on it as a point I wanted to make, when you go for an interview, it's not all just about the company or the manager interviewing you, but you need to interview them as well. Yeah, one of the things I teach my pupils is to, when you go for your driving test, you go in a position of command. You're not going there to ask the examiner, am I any good? You're going to go teach the examiner how to drive. Anything that the examiner asks you to do, you are teaching them. And when you go for that interview, you need to do your research about the company, and you inform yourself. You're showing them that you have taken the time to get yourself informed about them, and interview them. Why, as Alfred said, why is it that you should come to work for them? It's not why about they need you or you're also really desperate for them. Yes, you offer money, but why is it, what are the advantages of me coming in to your organization to work?
Can I add something to that? So when I went into my interview, I knew that I was going to have Sabbath period off, regardless of what they said. I knew I was going to get that because I prayed about it before. God pretty much told me, Leanne, this job is for you. So I was going in there fairly confident, nervous at the same time. And I put it to them. I said, listen, these are my beliefs. I'm an Adventist. That means this and that. I want that time off on a Friday. But I pushed it more because I thought, I want to leave early on a Thursday too. That's got nothing to do with Sabbath, but I want that, for the right sort of work, family kind of balance. So I put that to them as well. And I think because I knew in myself that if they weren't prepared to give that to me, then this organization just clearly wasn't ready to have me. Someone else out there would. I felt quite confident in that. So maybe that came across. Maybe that's why they decided to give me the job, regardless of me being able to fulfill the full amount of hours or not. They were still happy to take me on reduced hours compared to all the others, and it allowed me to honour Sabbath and leave early on a Thursday too.
So,
no, I think on that point as well, just be honest. So I remember I've got two scenarios working with Adventists where I won't mention his name, but he's within the SDA church in London. He's a senior finance leader, and we got him an opportunity. But from day one, the client knew about Sabbath, and they were fine about it because it was very open from day one. About 3 weeks ago, one of my team members placed an Adventist person, not anyone who I know, and then she said, "Oh, this person, they're now asking to leave early on a Friday, but due to their religion or whatever else." I'm like, so we found out they were Adventist. She went back to the client. The client was really annoyed because it only came about after the offer was made, and they felt she was being dishonest. I actually intervened with the client and kind of explained, was able to articulate what it meant, managed to get the client on side. Then the candidate actually took a counter offer. But the point was, be honest and upfront about it. I think you'll get far more respect and credibility rather than waiting until you get to the offer stage, and that'll probably annoy people. And probably they might question your integrity as well. Sorry.
There's absolutely nothing that beats, in my view, being confident of the person you are. And again, on the point you made, I remember going to an interview, and all the questions, there was a panel in this instance, not of one, but of about 4. And they grilled, and I responded and so forth. And then they said, any questions? And I'm a little mad, so I went mad again. I said, well, thank you. This has been very informative to me. But tell me, of all the companies out there that I know would enjoy the benefits of me working with them, why should it be you? And they looked at each other and, well, we're a fine company and so on. The point I'm making is you can put them on the back foot too. And when they realize that you're not terrified and frightened to death of them, that you are putting it across in a courteous and respectful way, and that you are being different to the typical person who comes in and say, well, thank you so much for considering my application, and I hope that, we can work together. it sets you apart from the horde. And there's nothing like showing your individuality, because that, I think, is the kind of quality that organizations are looking for. They don't want a bunch of terrified people working for them, by and large.
Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Just on my last point, just quickly, the individual I was talking about, as well as asking to finish early on a Friday, he also made it very clear what he's willing to offer them in terms of working extra hours during the week, making sure he's going to meet the objectives and meet deadlines, start early on a Friday. So let's make sure as well, what I suppose asking for to finish early, what else can you give to the give and take? That's really important, that's balanced. Sorry.
In my field, being too confident, they won't like you. So I'm in a field where everyone thinks that they know how to read someone in my job. And I think when I first qualified, I went for a job in Lambeth Borough, and it was a group interview, and I outshone everyone that I was with. In the room, I knew all the answers. I knew how to do everything, and I was like, yeah, I've got this in the bag, and that was why they didn't want to take me on, because I was lucky because one of the ladies who was part of the panel, I saw her in the coffee shop, and I said, hold on, I said, listen, I know that I aced that, so what is it? What was the reason? And the interviewers had a perception about me. It was a black woman. She was honest with me. She said, because they thought that you would be X, Y, Z, and they assumed you'd be like this as a black girl, like this, blah, 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 and that you wouldn't be teachable. And I think I say that because I didn't understand how to be confident and maybe not too cocky. When I look back, I didn't think I was being cocky, but I think it was like, be confident, but you can't present as if you know everything. So I coming out of university, you needed to know everything. That's how you studied. That was how, you had to get, I was getting first class. I had to know everything. But actually, in my field, because I was at, I guess, a first graduate point. And so the point I'm trying to make is that now, 5 years in, I've gone for an interview and I can ace them and I know I'm going to get the job with my eyes closed. But that's because I've got 5 years experience now. So people no longer feel like I need to be teachable. They just are desperate for someone to work. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is anyone going for a job, obviously be confident, but do not be too cocky. Because especially, unfortunately, people have perceptions about young black people, and words such as arrogant, words such as aggressive, etc., will be used, and it's not. And it's sometimes it's correct, sometimes it is what you're being like, but other times it's not. It's just a perception, and so you have to kind of read the room. And I didn't know that when I came out of my job. When I first went for a job, I really didn't understand it, and as time has gone by, I've learned. And so it's almost like someone used the word finding the balance. And I think definitely you kind of find the balance, but read the room. It's hard to do it on Zoom, as she's gone now to Bernie said, the interviews are often online. But for me, what I've learned is show who I am, which has been great, but also give an indication that I'm willing to learn in this space. And I think that's what's helped me get jobs, because that was the first job. And this is not me being arrogant, it's just I'm in a field where they're desperate. But it's the first job I've ever been turned down for, and that was a teachable moment for me. So every other time now, I've been turning down jobs. I go to interviews and I never ever, I always ace them, but that's because of that one time where it knocked me, because I knew I did well. So I was so confused, and thankfully for me, I had someone who gave me feedback, honest feedback, and that was a learning curve. Give a balance.
We're going to take 2 more questions. Soraya and Auntie Linfield hasn't had a chance to ask her question yet. I'm not sure if she can get off mute, or we can turn up the volume. If not, we're going to have to get you to type it in the chat.
Danielle, I think for a while as well.
I just want to know, what's a challenging patient you've had, and how did you deal with it? Hi, mother.
Is that question 2, by the way?
Oh, your mom.
There's been a lot, so I can't really think of one. I think I had a gentleman. I was counselling. I was taking a consultation. I'm asking questions. He's being cagey. He wasn't answering the questions, so I'm asking questions again because I need to know the answers in order to know which direction I'm going in. But he's just not answering my questions, and I'm getting frustrated. And as everyone knows me, I don't hide how I feel very well. So I thought, Michelle, just calm yourself down, because if you're going to be rude to me, I kind of mirror what you're doing. So he started getting a bit rude, and I thought, you know what, I haven't got time for this, but I'm just putting on a face. And I found it really difficult to counsel this patient. And then I asked him, I thought, okay, I got what I could, but I asked him, you know, I need to examine you. No, you can't examine me. I need to do this. No, you can't do. And I just said to him, so what are you here for? Because I said, what are you here for? And I thought, oh gosh, he's going to complain. But I said, what are you here for? I don't want you seeing me. I had to interpret what he meant. He didn't want a woman seeing him, and he didn't want a black woman seeing him. So I just told him, you can't choose who sees you. So I went to management. They came in, and they told him, you can't choose who sees you. So we both see at the same time. But I found it very challenging, because if you can't get a consultation, if you can't get answers from a patient, you can't treat them, you can't direct them in the right direction. And I found during that consultation, I had to really pray in my head. I had to really pray in my head. And then he did calm down, because he realized that by being the way he wasn't going to get anything out of us. And as the consultation went on, it came to a point where I got his history, and his history was very long. So part of my history is asking, you know, when you last had a sexual encounter with someone, and how many people you've had. And then, you know, it came out in the last month, you know, like 30. And he's talked to me, in the back of my head, I'm having a conversation with myself, but I'm talking to him at the same time. I won't tell you what the conversation was going in my head. And I said to him, you know, you've been back to us for so many times with gonorrhea, you're putting yourself at risk of HIV. And he turned to me and he said, in a nice way I'll say it, heterosexuals don't get it. So I said to him, are you for real? You know, 'cause now I'm really angry now, because I'm thinking, I said, you know what, it takes one time. And you don't have to be sleeping with the same sex or anything. It just takes one time with anyone, you can catch HIV. Oh, I can't get it, So I said, okay, let me put it this way. So I went through his notes. I said, imagine this, knock, 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 CSA. Knock, knock, knock. And I went through the whole, he said, oh, I didn't think about that. And I said, okay, you didn't think about that, but you need to think about your health. Oh, I'm not going to catch any infection. I'm not going to catch HIV. And I said to him, you know what? Because now I've just lost it. I could feel I'm losing it. So I just said to him, you know what? I'll be back in a minute. And I had to walk out, and I had to curse. And that's the way I deal with things. I have to excuse from the patient. And every day I do have that issue. I excuse myself, and I had to just curse with another client. And then I come back, and I put a face on. So I just find it very hard dealing with difficult patients, and deal with patients who come back with the same thing every week, because I feel as though I'm trying to educate you, but you're not listening and you're not learning. So I did say to him, okay, I'll tell you now, and maybe I was wrong, I'll tell you now, when you do get the infection, please don't come back crying to me. And I said that to him. Because I thought, I've done all I could do. So it's very frustrating when you get patients who don't want to listen, who think they're infallible, who think they will never get caught. But as I keep saying, it takes one time. And people don't realize that. So yeah, patients are frustrating. But you do get some nice patients as well.
Yeah, my question's slightly different. Have you had any difficulties, you know, it's kind of similar to what you were saying, Leanne, with, you know, keeping the Sabbath? Have you had any challenges? Because I've spoken to a few people, and they've had that issue, and they want to know how they can, you know, keep the Sabbath now. So have you had that situation in any of your careers where you've, you know, may have not? I know it's a very direct question. I know that, but you know, we're family, right? Has there been a time when you may not have kept the Sabbath, and now you've had that? You've now realized that, you know, there's something that you need to do, and also, has your work prevented you not to do a church post, if you understand my point? Yeah. So, you know, like, you're so busy, you're so tired, that when you come to church now, you can't function in church as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you know, nursing, it's, nursing can be 24 hours, but my nursing isn't. Initially, when I came to it was Monday to Saturday, so I did have to do one Saturday in 4. Now, since COVID, we haven't opened on a Saturdays, and I keep praying that we don't open on a Saturday. But they know about my religion, but we still have to work Friday. But my way around it, a lot of the time, is I do long days, so I could do like 8 till 6, 8 till 8, and I either don't work on a Friday or I finish early on a Friday. So I kind of do my, request shifts around that way, kind of. So yeah. You know, I have spoken to them about, they said they can't give me every Friday off or but they do try to accommodate me.
Thank you. So we're running out of time, and I know some of us want to take our young children home. So I'm just going to hand over to Nathan really, really quickly.
Okay, just want to say thank you so much to the panel. Round of applause for the panel. Thank you. One thing that's really resonated with me is the need to network. Rodney said it. You said when you were 16, your dad brought someone to come to speak to you, kind of set you on the right path. Personally, for me, Sharif has helped me with so many jobs. I think I've actually been able to have maybe 3 or 4 jobs in accounting due to just Sharif. Yeah, literally Sharif. So thank you so much for that. I owe you so much. Networking is so important. And the prerequisite to network is we need to know what we do. Okay, so I'm just going to go around really quickly. I just want you to tell the church just really quickly what you do. You don't need to say too much more. Just say what you do, and that's that. Yeah, so Theo. IT. Lauren.
I run my own business. I'm in online marketing.
Thank you very much. Uncle Alfred.
Financial advising.
Sandy.
Production controller in publishing.
Thank you very much. Uncle Mengus.
Retired accountant.
Actually,
I've got a funny story. 16 years ago, I was busy developing Uncle Mengus and Auntie Sharon, ringing their companies, trying to get business. Remember Mengus? Sorry.
Look at that. No.
I didn't know you were going to come to me.
Sales. Aaron.
Recruitment. Finance system.
Okay, so we can see in our own little ecosystem, we have a wide range of professions in this church. Can we not? A wide range of professions. And I was speaking to one of my friends, and I asked him, because he's Asian, and I said, why is it that your community is so strong? Why is it that you guys have done so well? I mean, you guys came here in the 70s. You know, a lot of you guys left Uganda or whatever, or India to this country, and you guys have done so well. You've taken over certain areas, and you're like, you're doing very well. And he said to me that we network really well. So if someone in our community is a doctor or a nurse, we're going to them for all our resources. And so our money stays in our ecosystem, a lot longer than it stays in other communities. And I think that's what we need to do as this ecosystem, this community that we have here. So, thank you again, panel. This is just the start, this is just the beginning of the year, but we want to actually create an ecosystem, create a network where we can network with each other. So perhaps at the pub with Uncle Mengus, drinking orange juice. Perhaps upstairs, I don't know, having some mobby and whatever else, but networking is key. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Could you share the next slide for me? Just hit tab. I just wanted to share some resources. There's so much things going on, but we don't often find them. So I just wanted to share, if you wanted to take a quick snapshot, these are the things that I advise a lot of people. So if you don't know, for the younger teens down here, if you don't know what you want to do yet, you can look at the National Career Site. You can type in your skills that you have, and it will match you to jobs. It will match you to salaries, what the different salaries are in different roles. They're not always right, depending on industry, though, because some industries pay more than others. There's Black Tech Fest that I was at through ServiceNow. Last year, we had Stephen Bartlett, if anyone knows who that is. Anton Ferdinand, I never get his name right, that I was with as well. So loads of different inspiring speakers. I can't remember all the names, but they're there. Lots of the big corporate companies were there. It was phenomenal to see so many young black people there. I'm not going to read them all out, but Power to Fly is extremely brilliant. If you want, so what it is, it's for underrepresented groups. They have lots of webinars put on by all the corporate companies on a range of different topics. You have pre-recorded webinars. My company's on there. SAP is on there. There's so many different things on there. Advisors, another good one. There's children's business fairs. I think I'd sent Auntie Tonya one. We've got children in our community that are entrepreneurs. And Nyla, where are you? Shout out to you. So we need to encourage our youth to network and do more. So
what's the website for Nyla? What's her website?
Nyla, what's your website? What's your company name? Chow Blue. So please, when you're buying presents for your loved ones, for birthdays, Christmases, all sorts, check out Nyla's website. And she's on Instagram as well. Chow Blue. Okay. All right, well, we're going to close our program now. I'm going to ask Ronique to pray for us.
Sorry, let me just be clear. I feel like I've been on this mic a lot today. So I'm just mindful that, obviously, I don't want people to think it's not Ronique all day. That's my only issue. I love praying. Let's all stand. It was a lovely program, wasn't it? Danielle's first time putting on a program, so. Let's pray. Lord, we are so, so blessed to be part of this church community, this ecosystem, as Nathan calls it. We thank you so much for all the skills, the ideas, the creativity that you've blessed this church with. We ask, Lord, that you just help us to feel confident as we step forward, whether it's in the working world or just even in our church family, whether we exercise these skills in this family or even in the workplace. We ask that you give us confidence. We ask that you give us know-how. We thank you, Lord, for giving us our personalities. For those of us who need to work on our personality, give us the skills and the experiences that we need to help us build our characters. We thank you, Lord, for the Sabbath day experience that we had together. We ask that as we go forward for the rest of the week, that you cover us, Lord, that you walk with us, that you lead us, Lord, and you guide us and help us to be receptive to your voice. The children's story today asked us, Lord, or reminded us that we needed to listen out for your voice. But to know your voice, we needed to learn you. So let our first education, our first attempts at learning be with you, to learn who you are, to use your Bible, Lord, that you've given us, to give us an understanding of what you've done for us, but also what we can do through you. So let us use your word this week, Lord, as we walk through our work lives, our family lives, and let it guide us, Lord. But also let us seek support from each other. Where appropriate, Lord, we ask that we provide each other with resources, networking opportunities, kindness, love, whatever it is that we need to give to those within our family, those within our church ecosystem. Let us give it freely, without reproach, Lord, and let us be open, Lord, to for people to come to us for help, but also open to asking for help when needed. We thank you again for all those here, young, old, and in the middle. And we ask again that they have traveling mercies wherever they're going and that their weeks are blessed till we come back next week. In Jesus' name, amen.